Hi everyone, I welcome you back to my YouTube channel. My name is Hope Mutamba, and right about now I want to take you through secondary sources of information in the course unit called Information Literacy. First of all, we define what are information sources. Information sources are materials that can interpret, analyze, summarize, or comment on primary sources. They provide secondary-hand account of an event, phenomenon, or piece of research rather than the first-hand information or evidence. We can also talk about characteristics of secondary sources. They can be categorized or characterized into various aspects, and I'm going to give you a few of them. Number one characteristic, we have interpretation and analysis. In this we mean that secondary sources provide opinions, summaries, and interpretations rather than direct evidence. This is the interpretation and analysis of characteristics of secondary sources. We can even talk about completion of information. This characteristic is one of those I'm going to mention about. And this is what we mean. We mean that secondary sources collect and organize data from multiple sources of information, or you can even say from primary sources, multiple primary sources of information. The other characteristic we have it is less originality, and I think this is evident because we've already defined secondary sources as second-hand information got from primary sources. So how do we explain this? And this is how, in my own words, I could try to explain it. I could say that they do not present first-hand information or experience or raw data, but rather explain or evaluate existing information. And I think this is clear. Should I repeat again? I said they do not present first-hand information or experience or raw data, but rather explain or evaluate existing information. We can even talk about it being more accessible. There is more accessibility. You can mention it that way. That secondary sources are widely available in libraries, academic databases, and online platforms, because just as you know that primary sources are first-hand evidence or testimony or a phenomenon or piece of research. But originally, now here they are telling us secondary sources are more accessible because there is no way you can get a first-hand evidence from a library. Anyway, you can, but it is so rare, because in the previous video we mentioned some of the examples of primary sources, and you see that it is very hard for someone to get first-hand evidence from such a public place or community. Therefore, secondary sources are more accessible. We can even talk about the examples of secondary sources of information. In them, I managed to gather a few, and I have the following examples. Include textbooks. We have encyclopedias and dictionaries. We have review articles. You can even mention about meta-analysis and systematic reviews. It is also an example of secondary sources of information. We can even talk about new articles and magazines. We can even talk about documentaries, their biographies. We have history books, We have legal commentaries, we have government reports and statistical summaries. There are very many, but I've managed to come up with those ones. Maybe you can also find others, but this can also help you know what I'm talking about right about now. And we go further talking about the importances of secondary sources of information. Among them, I have the following for you. You can talk about it being able to enhance understanding. In this, what do I mean? I mean that it helps one to interpret complex information into a simpler understanding. This is what I'm trying to say. It even saves time. Number 3, it provides context and in details, by the way. We can even talk about it providing aids research. We can even talk about it as a source of encouragement of critical thinking in society, because for example, you've read about an article and you need to gather more information. It helps you gather more information while thinking critically of why this information is being repeated in various articles or textbooks or documentaries. So there are very many examples of secondary sources. And the other thing, you may ask yourself, what do we consider while generalizing secondary sources? Number 1, you should consider accuracy. While you're trying to gather information from a secondary source, you should consider accuracy. You should even consider authority. You should even consider objectivity. You can even consider recurrency and relevance. Those are the key points to consider while gathering or using secondary sources of information. So in my next videos, I'm going to be talking about many topics, for example, citation, plagiarism, such strategies to help you understand more the concept of information literacy. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. See you in my next videos. Thank you.